I want to play a game.
Welcome back to Survival of the Shittest. My name's Stanley, the Shittest Welman-Williams, and I'm shit so you don't have to be. As you may have noticed, I have changed my background a little bit, so you can see my books, vinyl player, graphic novels, some vinyls, my speakers. Maybe you can see that picture up there, my hat. Just thought it'd be a little bit better for you to have a bit more interesting stuff going on in the background, rather than just a clock and a wall-mounted TV. So, as I mentioned in my first video, my channel introduction, about 5 years ago I was writing for a online horror magazine called cabinonthenet, where every month I would do Would I Survive horror movies, and that's sort of what kicked this off. Sure, it was 5 years ago, so maybe my ideas have changed a little bit on how I would survive certain movies, but I am still basically the same idiot I was when I was 30, when I was 25. That's proof just there, as you can tell. So the first movie I covered back then, in 2015, was Saw 1. It's a good movie to kick off with, just because it sort of shows the premise quite well, because watching all the Saw movies, all 8, 9 of them, you think, I reckon I could survive that trap, or, oh, that's a tough one, or how would I go about surviving this? So that's why we're starting there. So let's start with a little bit of a background on why Saw, or sort of my history with the Saw movies. So I think the first one I actually saw was Saw 2. I went round a friend's house who'd seen Saw 1 and was like, oh, Saw 2's just come out, should we watch that? And I was just like, yeah, sure, why not? I luckily didn't have this twist to Saw 1 spoiled for me, but I watched Saw 2 and I really enjoyed it, so I went away and found Saw 1, watched that, then kept up to date with all the rest of the movies, and then I've watched probably all of them about 10 plus times. I know it seems a lot, but I did used to put them on to go to sleep, as I was in bed, just as I sort of knew them by rote at a certain point, so it wouldn't distract me too much, but I would also have some noise going on, which is exactly what I do with podcasts now, especially How Did This Get Made, which is obviously this t-shirt is from. But as I think most people agree, Saw 1 really came out of the box running, and it sort of, there's been peaks and troughs across the series, but Saw 1 is probably up there as the best movie, just because it wasn't like anything anyone had seen before. It was sort of this a gritty horror, but had that sort of what people like to call torture porn, which doesn't really come into it in this movie as much as in the later ones. And then it had that twist, which took everyone by surprise, I think, which is an amazing sort of thing. And now, spawned countless movies, with Spiral coming sometime, hopefully this year, and I can cover that when it comes out. So without further ado, let's cover Saw 1, and the first trap is the razor wire trap. So I will put a picture just there, but basically you wake up in a room, disorientated, and you see basically a maze of razor wire in front of you. At the end of the maze is a fence with a gap in it somewhere, and then a trapdoor leading up to the light. You have 2 hours to get out, or the door closes and you're just left there to die. So basically, what you're trying to do is get through this huge maze of wire, with razor blades on it, just in your pants. In 2 hours, get through the fence, get up the trapdoor. Difficult, but do we think we can do it? Well, I've got some ideas. First thing to say right off the bat is I do not like being cut by razor wire. That's just me. I know it's strange, but it's not something that I'm going to sort of actively pursue. If I'm honest with you, the cutting implement doesn't really matter too much. It's mainly the being cut and the bleeding part that I'm not a massive fan of. However, I can tolerate it a little bit, just because I shave my head. I quite often get small nicks and things. Maybe not on the same level as crawling naked through razor wire, but it does give me a little bit of a head start. I guess head start because of the head. So the plan here is, as I mentioned in the trap breakdown, you are left with your underwear. So I think the best maneuver here, and hear me out, because sure, you don't want dangly bits and things like that, but you take off your underwear, you use one of the razors to cut it in half, so you've got two little glove-like things, so that you can maneuver and sort of not touch the wire so much. You can even ball it up a little bit so that it doesn't cut you, and then you just sort of try and pry it through. I think this is not the best way of getting through. I still think that you're going to get cut, and you're probably not going to make it into 2 hours. So what else can we do? Sit and cry. That's definitely an option. You've got 2 hours, but also you are missing. So hopefully after a little while, someone's going to be looking for you. So you can just sit and wait. Try not to die. Without food, you've got a little while. Without water, you've not got as much, but you do have that underwear that is absorbent. And sure, we don't want to get too gross, but I mean, you can recycle some of your own water for a little while. So I think it's not an easy one. I don't think it would. I think I'd probably die of thirst, not very quickly, but in a reasonable amount of time before I was found. I don't think I'm getting through the razor wire. I think after 3 or 4 cuts, I'm probably giving up. So it's a tough one. So would I be able to survive this? Difficult. Basically no, but I'd say I'd give myself about a 3% chance of surviving long enough to be found, or using my little underwear gloves to get through the razor wire. Okay, so the next trap is the flammable jelly trap. So you wake up in a room nude, you look around, you're covered in flammable jelly, there's glass littering the floor, there's a safe in the middle of the room with a combination lock. Your little tape says that the combination is written on the wall. You look at the wall, thousands of numbers, the combination's in there somewhere, and all you've got in this very dark room is a solitary candle, and you've got to find the combination to the lock to get the antidote out before you die from burning to death from the candle and flammable jelly, or from just, starvation, or dying of thirst, or blood loss from all the small cuts on your feet. It's a little bit of a step up from the first one. I mean, neither are particularly fun, but this one just feels like it's made to lose. But can I survive it? Would you be able to survive it? If you follow this, still probably not. Okay, so like I said, this one is particularly tough, but I've had 5 years to think on it and multiple viewings, and there's a few ways that I think you could maybe have a passing chance at survival. So the first one is guess numbers for the combination lock, and just get lucky, and you're done. So that's the first one. Likelihood very low. If you were an expert safecracker, or if you've watched a lot of safecracker movies, maybe you could listen in whilst you're turning it. We all know that is a perfectly legitimate way of cracking a safe. Then the way that I would say is not smart but smarter is all those glass shards on the floor. Pick up a couple of them and just start scraping the flammable jelly off of you. It's not as good as a towel, but I think if you're using the glass to scrape it off you, it'd take a while, but this poison is apparently slow acting, so you have a little bit of time. And then also using your feet, just sort of shift the glass away from you so it's all just in the corners of the room. Once you scraped off the flammable jelly and you don't have as much glass to worry about, you might have a slightly better chance of looking at the walls. I will say that I have stepped on a sliver of glass once in my 30 years, and it was awful, and the pain lasted for way longer than I wanted it to, which was more than 5 seconds, but way longer than I expected as well. It was still hurting for a few weeks. So this is going to be a really tough one to survive. You've got a couple of 3 main ways of surviving. You've got getting lucky, being a master safe cracker out of nowhere, because I am out of nowhere. It is out of nowhere for me. I would just try listening to it and have no idea what I was listening to. And then 3, glass towel. Doesn't sound as nice realistically. So all of these ways are relying on things that it's difficult to do. So I gave myself 3% for the last one. This one, I'll give myself a 0.2%, and that's just for like a miracle of me guessing the right combination on the first, well, not even on the first go, just at some point. So 3% down to 0.2%. Hopefully the next one's a bit easier. It is. So trap number 3 is a mainstay of the Saw movies. It's cropped up in a lot of them. It's the reverse bear trap. So this one is Amanda's game, and if you've seen the Saw movies, you know that she plays a larger part than you'd expect, because she's the first person we see survive trap. So she wakes up in a room with a bear trap contraption fixed to her head, something in her mouth, and when she struggles about, it pulls the thing out and sets off a timer. Basically, the game is to get the key out of the dead person in the room with you, with your scalpel, to get the key out of his stomach, unlock the bear trap before it goes off, take it off your head. Obviously, if you don't take it off your head, it will go off and explode your face. So how well would we do here? Let's find out. Okay, so this trap is nowhere near as difficult as the first 2. If anything, it just seems like Jigsaw was doing it on purpose so that someone could survive a trap, because this one, sure, you've got to take the thing off and find a key, but you don't really have to do much mutilation of yourself or hurting of yourself, which makes it a whole lot easier. So first of all, I will struggle about, rip the thing off, go over to the dead person myself, and like I say, I know he's not dead, but as far as I'm aware, he's dead. That's what I've been told. And then I'm not a psychopath, but I think I could, for my own life, cut open a dead body. And I'm not a surgeon, but I think I could use a scalpel to open up. So like, it's just using a knife, I assume. And look, I'm no anatomist, but I think I could locate the stomach relatively quickly. So it's just a quick incision, root around in this poor bloke's stomach, grab the stomach, rip the key out, put in the thing and take it off. The main issue here is the time limit, I think, because 60 seconds is by no means a lot of time. You have to get up, go over, use the scalpel, find the stomach, get the key out of the stomach, and then even on a sober afternoon when I've come back from a walk or something, it could still take me 10-15 seconds to get my key in the door and open it. So if in this high stress situation with blood all over my hands and a big bear trap strapped to my head, it might cause the stress to be a bit too much, and I wouldn't be able to get it in. But realistically, considering this, it's a quick time limit, but you don't have to do anything to yourself, and you just have to quickly go over, gut someone. It sounds easier than I'm sure it is. I'm sure people will tell me that slicing into someone's stomach and through all their subcutaneous fat and stuff like that is more difficult than I'm making out. But I'm going to give myself a solid 60% chance of surviving this one, just because I don't have to do anything to myself. And that's where a lot of the difficulty comes in these traps, unless it's other people who are alive or that you know are alive. A bit of a weird one. Trap number 4 is the drill chair, but we don't actually get to see the final product of this trap. It's more of sort of a prototype. So there's 2 elements of this. So one, you're strapped in a chair and you've got 2 drills coming closer and closer to your neck, eventually going to pierce your necks, just the one neck. Next to you is a box of keys with loads of different keys in that all look very similar, and someone has got to find the key, the right key, and put it into the trap to stop it before the drills go through your neck. Now, we're not entirely sure whether this trap is going to be a single person trap, like all the other ones that we've seen so far, or if it's going to be a two-person. But in the movie, obviously, as a prototype, the police come in and try and help him. So we'll be looking at what would you do if you were in a chair? What would you do if you were the survivor? Not the survivor, the helper. Okay, so we've got the two parts of this. So if you're the person in the drill chair, I guess the plan of action really is to sit there and hope the person who's looking to save you saves you. It doesn't look like there's much else you can do. Your arms are strapped in, your head's strapped in, there's drills coming towards your neck. So plan of action for a person in the chair, sit there, fingers crossed. If you're the person if you're the person helping, then I guess try all the keys that you can. Or if you've got other implements to help, in this case the police officer has a gun and shoots the drills and stops the drills. But you're in this scenario, you're in Jigsaw's sort of work station, so you can get some metal and like bash it or whatever. I think realistically, if you're the person in the chair, I would give myself about a 10% chance of surviving based on me being the saver as well. So I'm in the chair, but I'm also the guy trying the keys. And if I am the guy saving, I'll give myself a 100% chance of survival because I'm in no danger. But I would feel really bad about watching myself die by drills because I couldn't save myself. You know? So this next one isn't really a trap, but it is in the movie. So we're going to look at Zepp's test. So Zepp's test is basically you have to keep an eye on the bathroom trap, which is coming up. You'll see in a second. And if one of the people in the bathroom trap fails, you have to shoot his wife and his young daughter. You have a poison coursing through your veins, so you can't, you will die if you don't do this, apparently. So you just, it's a simple one. You just got to keep an eye on a woman and child and murder them if someone doesn't do something that they're meant to. So this one's actually quite tough because I know I said I could scalpel open someone earlier, but I think murdering a woman and child because you've watched a video of someone failing a trap is maybe a little bit above what I could do. And here's where Zepp goes wrong. There's nothing stopping him from leaving. If you've seen Saw 1, you know the twist is that Jigsaw is in the bathroom with him. So you're just there. Like, I know he says you've got to follow the rules, and there's this poison coursing through you. But this poison seems to last a few hours. Just leave. Go to the hospital. Say someone's poisoned me. I need you to find out what poison it is and give me the antidote. Sure, Jigsaw was a smart fella, as we see throughout the movies, but I doubt he's come up with a completely unique poison that you couldn't just go to a hospital and get the antidote for. Let the woman and child go, go to the hospital and get hooked up to an IV, I guess. So for this one, I'm going to give myself a solid 80% chance of survival. That 20% is if Jigsaw has somehow come up with a poison that no one can identify, or if it's a poison that can't be cured, which there probably are. I don't know enough about poisons, but I would just leave. Just go. I definitely wouldn't wear Jigsaw's weird red robe thing that he seems to be wearing. I guess because Jigsaw told him, not in the tape, but maybe he left it out for him. But Zepp's an idiot, basically. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the final trap in Saw 1, and that is the bathroom trap. So this has two people in it, and we will cover both Dr. Lawrence Gordon and Adam separately. But to explain the trap, we will sort of give them together. So you wake up in a room, your legs shackled to a big metal pipe. You shout across the room or make some noise and someone responds to you, so you know there's someone else in there. You figure out to turn the light on. There's a dead body in the middle of the room who's got a tape recorder. You find that you've got tapes to play. You get the tape recorder using your shirt and the plug from the bathtub that Adam woke up in, and you've got two games basically. Dr. Lawrence Gordon has to kill Adam before the time runs out, or his wife and child are killed, and Adam just has to escape. There's more to it than that, obviously. Like I say, Adam wakes up in a bath, and Dr. Lawrence Gordon just wakes up in the room. There's an X makes the Spartan a heart thing. They find some hacksaws in the toilet. And I think one of the benefits of this is having someone else to bounce ideas off of or tell you what to do, because that will help a lot in this situation. So if we start off with Dr. Lawrence Gordon, you've got a few options as Gordon. First of all, you can kill Adam. That's sort of the game. You, with a little bit more searching, you find some cigarettes, and you remember, that blood is poisoned from Jigsaw, like the dead person in the room. You also find a gun, you get a bullet, so you can kill Adam, which I think, if you go philosophically with a utilitarian approach, the lives of three maybe worth more than that one guy. I mean, I don't have a wife and child, so it's difficult to say what I would do in a situation where their lives were at stake. But also, it seems like something that a lot of people would not necessarily have a problem with in this sort of situation. The key thing here is you've only got one bullet in the gun, so you have to aim quite well, and if you don't, you've wasted that, and also Adam knows that you're trying to kill him. So I think there's off, because I've never shot a gun before, and I don't think I would be able to hit him, basically. And then you've got the cigarettes, which you can dip in the blood, and Adam is a smoker, and he asks you for a cigarette. The issue there is, you might not know this yet, but you might find out in the future, I'm not a very tricksy person. I'm not good at hiding my true motives. So basically, I think that's off the table as well. Then the other approach is, when you find the hacksaws, Dr. Gordon comes up, says, "Oh well, he wants us to cut our feet off and escape," and that's true. I'm going to go into that a little bit deeper once I've covered Adam, just because I've got a lot of thoughts on the foot cutting idea, and that's sort of one of the main prompters of why I did the Would I Survive, because I'll put a picture up. Look, moving on to Adam, and now Adam gets an awful deal in this. He wakes up in a bath, and no one wants to be asleep in a bath full of water anyway, unless you're taking a nice hot relaxing bath, but you still don't want to fall asleep, do you? You want to be relaxing, but just enough awake that you don't drown. And then he thrashes about, he pulls the plug out, and then the key that was on a flotation device goes down the drain. Now, there's a lot of theories about this online and on YouTube. I've watched a few, and you can see that this is maybe showing some foreshadowing for Amanda in the coming movies. It's worth googling the key fob theory. But basically, Adam's got no approach apart from just sitting there hoping he doesn't get killed and hoping he survives. However, and I'm not a plumber, like I said in the introduction video, I do digital marketing, so plumbing, not so. And sound off if I'm wrong. Do bathtubs have a U-bend like toilets have a U-bend? Because I might check that if they do. The issue is, obviously, there's a lot of water in there, and if it went down one of the first things, that I guess the water would flush it through. But it could get stuck. I don't know. Like I say, I'm not a plumber, and I know basically nothing about plumbing, but I'd at least have a little check. And his other approach, which we'll get to, like Gordon's, is to hacksaw his own foot off. And I will talk about how I would do that, or if I could do that. Both. We're now talking about cutting your own foot off to escape a shackle. And it comes full circle. We get to go back to the fact that I don't like cutting myself from the razor wire one. And we go back to the fact that I'm not a surgeon from the reverse bear trap. So it's all coming together. See, there's plans around these sorts of things. Straight off the bat, I don't think I've got the cojones to cut my own foot off. But if I gave it a go, like Gordon does, I would do it a little bit differently. And now he's meant to be a surgeon in the film, and I'm sure they did research on things like this, and he's in a stressful situation, and this is just how I would do it. So I'll put a picture up here. So the blue line is where Gordon cuts his leg off, so above the shackle. The green line is where I think is a slightly better place, just beneath the ankle, more around the joint. And then the red line is, I think, the best place to cut. And like I said, I'm no surgeon, so if you know better, or if you've got a reason why this isn't better, then let me know. But if you cut off just the corner of your heel, is it more difficult to cut through? I mean, it's going to be difficult either way, right? So you might as well go through there because there's less to cut. You keep more of your foot, and you just slip the shackle over like that, and you keep most of your foot. Yeah, sure, you might not be able to walk on it again. It might need to be amputated, but in escaping the room, I think it would be a better place. And like I say, hit the comments or go to at SOTS website, my Twitter, to tell me why I'm wrong, because I must be wrong, but just let me know. But I don't think I'll be able to do it. So overall, if I'm Dr. Lawrence Gordon, I think my chance of survival, let's say 20%, because I could luckily hit him with a bullet, or maybe he's dumber than me. Unlikely, but maybe he will be tricked. And then if I'm Adam, the only recourse I've got is this possible U-bend in the bath, which probably doesn't exist, or I've got to cut my own foot off. So I'll give myself 5%, purely because I think I know better than the surgeon of how to cut my own foot off to get out of these shackles. But then you still got to escape from the place you're in and stuff. So that seems about fair. So 20% for Gordon and 5%, so a little bit higher than the razor wire maze. So there we have how to survive Saw 1, or how I would survive Saw 1. How to survive Saw 1 is you basically wouldn't. Although there's a few survivable moments in there, the reverse bear trap being sort of one of the better ones, and Zepp's trap, not even a trap, really a test. But that's sort of Saw 1. This is all going on the premise that if I were to wake up in a similar situation after being drugged and then in some weird place, I wouldn't be a complete blubbering mess and cack my pants, which is, let's be honest, the most likely thing to happen. Let's say 7.5 times out of 10, I wouldn't even get to the trap. I'd just be crying. But that's Saw 1, and like I said, I hope this was a good video to start with, so you can sort of see the thought process. Other ones are going to get a little bit off of this. We'll do percentages, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult to discern survivable moments. At the end of the video, I'd like to say thank you for watching. Please like the video, subscribe, put the bell icon on, follow me on Twitter, SOTS website, and the next video I'm going to do is one on, so one which I've written about before, and then one new one where I'm just going to watch a movie. And because WandaVision's coming out, I think I might, on my new ones, do surviving the MCU. So I don't know, what, 20 odd movies would I survive in the MCU? So could I be Iron Man? Could I be Captain America? Could I be Thor? Yeah, probably. Like, you can be a superhero in many different ways. But like I say, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Any comments or any sort of things disagreeing with me, just hit me up, because I know that I'm probably being a little bit too confident, even though I'm giving myself low scores. All right, stay shit. Bye.